Hello, everybody. I'm back again. Feel the need to make this video real quick just because, honestly, the last episode of Super aired Saturday night, and well, I see a lot of people in the anime community, kind of discussing it to a degree, and I think a lot of them are, well, not to be blunt, but missing the point that I think the episode wanted to make, or did make, and missing a lot of the significance of it. And I mean, I see it. I'm seeing it, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, here on YouTube, even, and I kind of wanted to address that. In that, first and foremost, I do want to touch on this because I think it's the simplest thing. There's been an ongoing running gag that kind of was inserted in the episode, and whether or not it was appropriate to insert it, I don't know. That's a discussion for another time. I think that the reason that they did include it was it's otherwise somewhat dark and serious episode, and they wanted to get some of the lightheartedness in there. It's also part of why Goku got Nimbus in there and everything. But in this episode, when Krillin, is having to face his fears, Bulma, a manifestation of Bulma, appears, angry. And I see a lot of people mocking the idea that Krillin is, scared of Bulma. Why are you scared of Bulma? The other things make sense, now Bulma. It's been a running gag since the beginning of Dragon Ball that literally everyone, Vegeta included, are scared or intimidated by Bulma when she's angry. And so that's why that's there. I'm not sure why people are questioning that as much as they are, but so be it. But I want to get into the meat of that episode because I think people are kind of misunderstanding something about the significance of this from multiple perspectives. First, from a storytelling perspective, honestly, this may be some of the best character development we have gotten in terms of like a running character arc in Dragon Ball. I mean, there were signs of this. Krillin being afraid. His self-doubt. Getting in the way since the first arc of Super. When they did have to fight Beerus, and when he was kind of reluctant to go up there and face him, knowing that people even stronger than him were getting wrecked. But it's like, on the other hand, you can't make them do all the fighting either, and he was just kind of really torn about that. But then we had before that even. Harkening back to even Dragon Ball, Krillin had a lot of self-doubt. Like when he had to fight the people who used to abuse him back at the Orin Temple. He was terrified. He was petrified. He didn't think he could do it. It took Goku basically coaxing him through it and convincing him, you're a lot stronger now than when you first showed up. You can do this. Even then, he didn't really think he could do it until he did it. But that's been, a thing he's had to deal with. And he started feeling, accomplished. I've done it. I did this. And then it's like the next tournament rolls around and he did all that training, all that work, and he winds up having to fight Goku, who basically at the end of their fight reveals that he could have ended it anytime he wanted to, and he was entertaining him, so to speak, with the notion that they were having a fairly even fight. Then, after that, you have what happened with King Piccolo. You have Raditz basically one-shotting him. You have what happened with, Frieza. You had Tambourine kill him. without really having to strain himself. You had Raditz one-shot him. You had Frieza kill him. You had what happened with the... All that time. You know, and you have dealing with the fact that there is a 5-year-old who is as strong, if not stronger, than you are. That kind of thing eats at you, and it stays with you, and it would erode your confidence over time. Even when he met the Grand Elder on Namek, you know, he told him that for an Earthling, your power is absolutely remarkable. But there's an even greater strength sleeping inside you, and I'm gonna wake it up. Even then, he thought, you know, I hit my limit. I'm maxed out. There's no way I'm getting stronger than this. I can't keep up. You know, thank you for the offer, but really, I doubt it would do any good. It did. It did unlock quite a bit of it, but even then, you know, he still had to work to bring it out. And it's been a recurring theme with him, is that he has a lot of power and a lot of potential, but too many times he has let, you know, his own self-doubt get in the way. And that's something that finally came to a head in this episode, and it's something that's been addressed in this episode, and I think it was slightly addressed periodically, but it never really came to a head, you know? And it's also a pretty realistic depiction of that, because, believe it or not, just having a friend tell you, oh, you can do it, I believe in you, that's not always enough to make it completely go away. Because those doubts, they still linger, you know? It's an internal problem. But to see that, you know, I mean, that was brought up during the Resurrection F arc in Super, when he was afraid. He saw Frieza again, and Frieza basically sending his entire army after him. Anyone who kills him, you know, you get your own planet. Amuse me, entertain me, and the fact that he was still just so coldly and cruelly, you know, looking at him and his death as some sort of entertainment. And it brought back some bad memories, some very bad memories, understandably so. And again, Roshi had to coax him through that. You know, you're stronger than them, you're stronger than this, you know. You've been through so much, there's no way that you could possibly forget, you know, what I taught you, etc. And he managed to overcome that at that time and do it. But, again, those doubts are still going to be there. Frankly, that's some PTSD too. And I know that a lot of people, every time someone says that, you know, oh, this is Dragon Ball, they won't deal with that kind of stuff in Dragon Ball. You are way overthinking Dragon Ball. I don't think so. I kind of think you're underthinking it. And what I mean by that is that I think that you are kind of underestimating exactly what's going on from a narrative standpoint. What's happening here is that he is, in fact, you know, dealing with this stuff, and this is natural and it's normal, and that's something I'm going to get back to later. But again, this all came to a head in this little mini arc here. And when he gave up being a martial artist because, you know, he said, let's spar again for old time's sake. Goku just hit him once. You know, not even realizing exactly how hard he was hitting him. Sent him flying like that. Jacked up his face that badly. That's when he said, I'm done. I'm done. I'm giving this up. I'm getting, you know, full-time job for me where there's no point in even trying at this point. I am that far behind that one hit did this. One. And that's when he became a police officer. He joined in order to still, deep down, he's the kind of person that knows, you know, I've got these abilities for a reason. I can make a difference with them. I'm not just going to sit down and waste them. Joined the police force. Became basically a super cop without anyone else realizing. I mean, Every time that he's used any of his abilities, no one else has been around. When he was in that bank during that robbery, what happens? Dodging machine gun fire. Um, Police chase in episode 75. What happens? He zips in front with that scooter. When they ask him how he did that, he says, "Oh, it was a trick. Trick with the scooter. You shouldn't try it, though. Really dangerous." Excuse me. And they're like, "Oh, wow. It's just..." But it's a thing where he wants to make a difference. Not just sit there do nothing. And then, when he's in his new comfort zone, when he's somewhere where he finally feels like, hey, maybe I can make a difference here, Gohan shows up doing the Great Saiyaman thing again. Gohan, who again had been stronger than him as a 5-year-old at that time. Gohan, even if it was only in bursts at first, it was a thing. Gohan, the kid who's young enough to almost be his son. Gohan is a kid compared to him. He helped raise the boy, and he's stronger than him. And Gohan hasn't even been training much anymore. He does on occasion, but not dedicatedly, not nearly as seriously. I mean, he works a full-time job. He's got a baby at home. That's to be expected, but the fact that happened to him, Gohan stepped in, kind of yanked the rug out from under him, unintentionally, mind you, completely unintentionally, but he did. And I think that's sort of what started that self-doubt to really flare up again. Because you notice that immediately after that, this happens. He went from dodging machine gun fire and being more than willing to face off against those thugs to suddenly hiding behind a police car and, taking bullet damage and just not being too eager to step out there and, take them down, even though he's capable of it. We know he's capable of it, but he just won't do it. And that's something his wife noticed too, she knows. And the reason that she's hard on him in the last episode is she knows that that's not him, that he's not like that. He's not some spineless weakling, as she said it, which, yeah, that's harsh, but it's true. Something happened to him. And honestly, to be perfectly blunt, these are some pretty realistic, depictions of post-traumatic stress, depression. Yes, depression. Go figure. And this is getting into the characterization bit here. This is a character who has very real debilitating problems, and it stems from just it's not even that he's not as strong as everybody else either. It's the fact that he thinks he can't be. It's the fact that the people that he's supposed to protect, he can't. It's having been there when Boo, he was supposed to protect them, and what happened? He failed. Boo killed him. Boo killed his family. That is something that he has to live with. Frieza, what happened? Blew up the planet, killed his family. Which he still has memories of, even if they don't. He has gone through not only a lot of physical anguish in his life, but mental. You also have to understand, Krillin grew up abused. Until he was 13 years old, he was raised in a very abusive environment at the Orin Temple. Now, I'm not going to say exactly how bad or to what extent it was, because we don't know. We do know, however, that the other students there made his life hell and would often beat up on him just because he was smaller than they were, because he was at the time weaker than they were, or at least they had him convinced he was. It's why he ran away from there. He ran away from there because he wasn't going to put up with that anymore. He ran away from there because he was going to go and find this legendary martial arts master that nobody knew for sure if he was even necessarily still alive. The one who even doesn't even normally take students. And he was going to learn under him, and he'd come back and show them that he wasn't worthless, that he wasn't weak. And yet, every single time, no matter how hard he seemed to try, he seemed to run into the same obstacle and the same people telling him he was weak. And I think that that's also an important part of why he says what he says to Goku. Now, I see a lot of people analyzing the bit where he finally snaps on Goku and tells him, all these fears around me, you keep saying, just, fight them off, they're not even real, we can fight them, come on, get up, stand up, fight. And he says, I'm not you. I'm not like you. I think of the reason that a lot of people kind of overlook the significance of that is because, you got to understand that that Goku is different from everyone else, and not just because he's an alien. Not even, people are taking it, I think, a little too literally when he says, I'm not like you. No, duh, he's not saying, I'm not a super powerful alien like you. And no, it's not even a case of no one expected you to be Goku. It's like, no, dude, that's not the case. The reason he's saying that is because this is a recurring problem with Goku too, and it's actually an interesting callback to that. It's a genuine character flaw in him, and that's that Goku can sometimes be forgetful that people aren't him. They aren't like him. Vegeta can have this problem too. The difference is, whereas Goku just, kind of tries to push people, Vegeta uses it to belittle people. And that's that, I'm not like you. I can't look at these things that I am afraid of and just figure hey, they're fake, I'm going to just punch right through them. I can't look at these things that have physically harmed me and think, okay, it's only an illusion, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fight it. Especially since the more he sees, the more scared he gets, which then amplifies that, because they are literally powered by his own self-doubt. And the more that comes out, the stronger they got. And when you see how ridiculously massive they got, how much they were capable of hurting them. They were even getting hits in on Goku. And he felt them. That gives you an idea of exactly the kind of burden that this guy has been carrying with him for decades. That I think is something that a lot of people don't understand with that symbolism. It's not just symbolic of, oh, hey, you're a scaredy cat. No, that is his mental anguish, personified. Goku doesn't deal with that too much. He fights someone who almost kills him or does kill him. He just wants a rematch with them because, you know what, I bet I can figure out how to beat him next time. Goku's like that. Other people aren't. When it came to Gohan as a kid, Piccolo even had to remind him, Goku, he's not you. He's a kid. He's a kid who hates doing this. He spars with you because he loves you. He idolizes you. He'll spar with you because he enjoys this in as much as it's a sport, an exercise, an activity. And it's something that you and he both do. But he does not like to hurt people. And Goku realizes that he put that kid in there expecting him to be him, and it's a mistake that he then tries to correct. And the same thing has to happen here. Goku, once again, has to be reminded, Goku, I'm not you. I can't just shrug this stuff off and go fight. I can't just look at these people who killed me and think, oh great, here's an opportunity to maybe find a way to beat him again this time if I don't get killed again. And that's very important to remember. Again, this is the personification of everything this guy has been dealing with in his mind since he was a child. Traumatic childhood events, traumatic events continuing into his adulthood. Now, that's not to say it's all bad. No, there's good in there too, but sometimes that stuff just doesn't go away and can be brought back to the surface without you even expecting it. And to sit there and to see that, and when he finally realizes that, this is all me, the more afraid I get, the stronger they're getting. So much so to the point that he takes a big risk and just sits right down there and meditates, clears his mind. Clears his mind of everything. Just, focus on things that are calm, serene, beautiful. And when he opens his eyes, they're not even moving anymore. They may as well be statues. A realization that was the personification of his fear, of his inner anguish. And realizing that letting go of it, finally, it might always be there even, but just clearing your mind of it, not letting it control you, breaking the hold it has on you, is possible. And in doing so, he not only overcomes that, but when you see him physically change. His aura is not the same as it used to be. It's much more calm. It's much more radiant. It's much more focused. It's actually kind of similar to when Goku uses his God Ki in terms of like how it looks. It doesn't just, burn off him like the old Super Saiyan aura does. It kind of flows off of him. And it's the same here. The old aura, or the way it looked, seems to be mostly focused toward his fist, which is very different, and I'm interested to see what the implications of that are in the future. But that potential that had been locked away by his own self-doubt for so long, he's finally starting to tap into it. Which means that, he's going to be getting a lot stronger. And from a narrative standpoint, that is a perfect thing to lead right into this tournament, finally letting go of that fear. Finally, and attaining a new level of power. And I've seen some people try to say, oh, he ain't any stronger than he's ever been. I don't believe that for 1 second. If only because his aura has never looked like this. Ever. Not once. This is something different. And from an inspirational standpoint, I can't speak for everyone on that. I can't. Various different people are going to find that to mean various different things to them. But I will tell you this. The things that he has dealt with, the baggage he has carried for so long, the mental anguish, the pain, the fear that he carried since he was a kid, the PTSD, the depression, are all things that I can identify with very closely. because I deal with those too. And the fact that, I mean, Krillin was, I'm going to be perfectly honest, he was always my favorite character, you know? And I don't know if I was subconsciously drawn to that because I could see that parallel and I just didn't, like connect the dots. Or if he just happened to be, my favorite because he was the normal guy, the average guy, the one who reacted realistically when everything else was insane. I don't know. But the fact that now, seeing this, especially in this episode, brought out in such a visible and accurate and believable way. Okay? And seeing someone dealing with the same kind of things that I have had to deal with for years now. Honestly, part of the reason I haven't been very active on YouTube anymore was all this crap. To see that portrayed on there and to see him show that, it's not gone. It's not ever going to be just gone, But just showing that it's a reminder you don't have to let that dictate your life. You don't have to let that control you. You can control it. You don't ignore it. You don't pretend it's not there. You accept it. But you control it. It does not control you. And seeing him liberated from that just kind of makes me feel like, that's possible for me. And I mean, just seeing that from any character, would be meaningful. But seeing that coming from one that was my favorite, besides one that I had identified with for so long, to find that I can actually identify with him that closely, see a bit of myself in there. And then see that even for someone like me, then that might be possible. Means a lot to me. A lot. And I'm sure that it probably means that to others as well. I can't speak for everyone, but I'm sure it does. If nothing else, it's meaningful to me. In conclusion, this honestly is one of the best culminations of like an ongoing established thing that I think has happened in Dragon Ball, bar none. These last few episodes, probably honestly my absolute favorite episodes in the entire franchise. Honestly, maybe one of my favorite. It's definitely my favorite character arc. Might be even one of my favorite story arcs. And now this, I cannot stress how well done this was, and what it means to me. And I just really, really don't want to see people sell this short. Because it deserves. He deserves. The writers deserve. The character deserves. The series deserves a lot of praise for this. Anyway, that'll do it for now. I think I'm going to be in a podcast either tonight or tomorrow on Neo Game Sparks channel. So I will probably see you guys all then. Until next time, see ya.